Everybody, this is Marisa Anglade and
Ralph Schiller, Heaven Anglade.
I feel like you're like all up under me. Like I need some room.
Yeah, we try to just be the one and we are
God's
Power Couple. How are you doing today?
We're talking about spending money for getting married. Like when you're gonna plan your wedding, how much money should you spend? And we were reading an article that I thought like, wow, there were just so many different concerns as well as how people disagreed and agreed about how much money you can spend for a wedding. Now, we're not here to tell you what to do, but you want to count your pockets. Well, I remember when we were getting married, this lady that planned a wedding, she said that she was planning a wedding and the woman, the bride-to-be wanted, of course, you know how we are. We're princesses, we queens, we want it all. So she wanted everything, and the wedding was getting pretty expensive. And most men, not all, because, you know, not everybody's the same, he wanted, it's simple. He like, wait, we don't want to break the bank. And so they had many arguments regarding the wedding. So they got married anyway, but she saw that they, like, just how badly they disagreed on how much money to spend. She saw that that wedding, that marriage was not going to last. And she said a month later, they got a divorce. And I'm not saying that's the reason, but you want to make sure that you count the cost. And you don't want how much you spend be the end all of your marriage to come. So how much should you spend on getting married?
Well, actually, I want to ask you, how much did we spend when we got married?
We were on the same page. Okay, so
you were?
Yes, we were. We were on the same page.
Okay.
We were.
So.
I never wanted to go broke for a wedding. That was me. We might have had differences on how maybe the colors that he ended up choosing.
Right.
But anyway, but how much money we spend, I didn't want to go broke. So we agreed on that.
Okay.
We spent about, I think, $5,000 to $6,000 with everything, 5,000 to 6,000.
Right. Is that including the honeymoon?
Oh, that's not including the honeymoon. So that would have been about $1,000 more. But just for the wedding, $5,000 to $6,000 is what we spend. And how do we keep the cost down?
Well, based on looking into how people put weddings together, a key point is how many people you invite.
Yes.
How many people you invite?
And luckily for me,
the more you invite, the more money you spend.
Luckily for me, I don't have a big family, so that kind of helps. So that I know it's hard when you have all these family members and you want to invite them. So we're going to give some tips on how you can invite all the family members. But I don't have a large family, so it's about 8 of us, and plus an uncle, whatever. Then everybody else would have been my mother's friends if I allowed her to do the guests. To invite all her friends, that would have made it huge.
I think it comes down to what's important to the bride and the groom as far as who is there. A lot of times people put weddings together thinking it's for everybody else, but the wedding is really for you and your spouse.
Yeah, that's true. It's for the two of you.
That's
not for your mama, not for your grandmother, not for your uncle, your friends. It's for...
And the spouse,
the couple. But what about if the couple what about the wife still, yeah, it's not for everybody, but she wants to invite everybody. That's, Showtime at Apollo.
Right, you got to keep a balance. But if you can't afford it, then of course. And what I mean by afford it.
Yeah, if you can afford it.
What I mean by that is not to be in debt and paying it off for the next 5 years. That don't mean you can afford it. Afford it means that when you pay off everything, that you're not
you still
a
got
slave.
a savings.
Still have a savings to the side, and you're not slaving to pay this off 5-10 years down the line. I believe that the smart way to do it is if you get engaged, to start saving money, having saving accounts and having a saving account, and both parties put money into an account. Kind of help. So make a budget and determine how many people you invite based on how much you save.
Y'all let me know. Y'all can respond. Okay, so we take the idea that the wedding's gonna cost you $33,000.
I think is the average. I think
I knew 2 friends of mine. One, she spent about $30,000 for her wedding. The other one, if she didn't lie, because I think she spent more, she said $25,000 and $25,000. Yes. So what about if I did save that? I can save that amount, but then I'm still left with less money in my bank. So it cost me $30,000 to spend for the wedding, which I saved. I'm not gonna go broke, but my savings account only have $5,000. Should I still go ahead and spend it?
I would say no. Only if you should have more than that in the bank account. But you know, and a lot of times we, like I said before, we want our marriages and our weddings to be so glamorous.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I
wonder where that came from, but go ahead.
And a lot of times, what I read and heard, after people spent $35,000, they're like, man, it wasn't worth it.
Yeah,
it wasn't worth it.
Like, man, it wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it because I could have done this with the money. I could have paid this bill off. I could have done this because we had this idea that marriage should be glamorous. This is the most important day of my life. You know, I'm the spotlight.
Not.
I'm the spotlight. You know, all my friends gonna be there. I gotta show off. I gotta be like, bam, look at me. And the thing that's our mindset, as you know, a natural mindset, to be like, to shine and to outdo other people and to be like, oh, that wedding was beautiful. Because the thing is, I heard a lot of marriages that spent so much money and so much funds on marriages. Like, let's just say I heard $35,000, and there's a couple of times where people actually didn't even last in their marriage to pay off that debt. So they paid $35,000 for the wedding. And a couple of years later, they got divorced, and they still have that debt they got to pay off.
One guy,
you know,
it was a place where I used to work in Miami, and this guy was buying a house, and he told me that his wedding, the cost of his wedding, the payment for his wedding lasted longer than the actual wedding. And marriage? I'm like, wow, lasted longer than the actual marriage. So he was paying on his wedding, and the payments for that lasted longer than its actual marriage.
Right.
So we're going to talk about how you can lower the cost. The reason that you have to take in consideration how much you spend is because you have to think about the future. I know about several people that after, and even for us, well, for these people, they got married, spent a lot of money for their wedding, and within 6 months to a year, 6 months actually, they lost their job. And then they wish they had the money that they spent on the wedding. They spent on the wedding.
Right.
So you can't take that money back. Our income changed, I think, about 6 months. Ralph used to be self-employed, but his truck, he's a trucker, and traveled long distance, and his truck that he owned wasn't working anymore, and the amount that he had to spend to fix it was going to be $20,000. And we're like, no. So he ended up taking a company job and getting a pay cut. Wow, like a huge. I mean, we're talking about like $100,000 pay cut.
Right.
But because we trained ourselves to live off of one income, and we still had our savings, we was able to live off of some of our savings for 2 months without working, because we paid for our wedding in cash, and we made sure not to use up our savings. So that's one reason you want to think about the future. But you know, we want what we want when we want it, and people are going to still spend lots of money on a wedding. So what are some tips? You want to share something before we go into tips on how to cut costs on your wedding?
No, you go ahead.
Okay, so we put down some tips on how to save costs. Now, like I said, you want what you want when you want it. Nobody can change your mind, but just kind of think about the future and how much money you want to leave in your bank and still be able to have a beautiful wedding. So one of the tips that I came up with in regards to if you have a lot of friends and family. So we didn't have a lot of friends and family to invite.
How many people actually showed up in our wedding?
I think 50. And then you spend all this money for people that you think that's going to show up, and they RSVP, and then they don't show up.
Right.
And that's money lost as well.
Well,
so we had about
45,
50 people.
That's an issue if you do it to where you have to buy in advance. But if you do it like a buffet style, it won't be as bad. You know, as far as if you do it per plate and you pay for the plate regardless if they show up or not, then you spend more money. But if you set it up to where you don't do it per plate, you do it like a buffet style, and people may show, people may not show, but you already paid for X amount and everybody's covered. Okay,
so here's some tips to not go broke planning your wedding. Now, you can do it at your church. You can do it at your church, and most churches have halls where you can have it at.
Right.
You can do nice decorations and have everybody there, so you're not spending a whole lot of money to rent out a place and get a place.
Right.
So that's one. There's also where you can have, you still want, you're like, nah, that's corny. I don't want to have my reception at the church hall. It's not cute. So what you can do, and you still have a lot of friends and family to invite, do a little reception at the hall. So after you get married at the church, if you're going to do it at the church, you have a reception in the recreation, the hall, the church hall.
Right.
And then you have like just maybe little cakes that you have and juices. So you have everybody that came to the wedding for the ceremony. You have a small reception where you show up for they're there for maybe about 20 minutes. So you greet everybody, and then they're still there with the refreshments. You leave somebody in charge, and then you go to the actual hall or place where you're going to have your reception. Okay. So that's one way that you can still have people that you wanted to invite that fall on category number 2 and not category number 1. I hope that doesn't offend anybody. But that's one way. And you will offend people. You will always offend people when you don't invite them because they feel they should have been invited. But people have to understand that it costs.
Right.
Now, another way to do it, this may not be good. I read this, so this is not my advice. But if people want to go and they really, really want to be there, but you can't afford to have them there, ask them if they're willing to pay for a plate. Tell them that they can pay for a plate, and that's $25, $15, so they can pay for their plate for the extra people that want to come, but you can't afford to have them there.
Right. I actually have a cousin who got married in Miami, and she got married on the beach.
Oh yeah, having a beach wedding.
A beach wedding, and she had the pastor there, and basically it was like nothing was there. It was just had 2 people walking in the wedding, and the guy didn't even have a suit on. He had like a 2-piece, and she had like a normal dress. It wasn't even a wedding dress. But the point I'm making is that it comes down to the people, and when you really get down to the nitty gritty and find out what exactly you want, you realize that we don't need these glamorous things. But I would say, I would say the reason why we had this idea about wedding.
My husband is tight, so you have to keep it balanced. He's really tight with money.
But the reason why people are like that because of what they watch on TV, the celebrities,
it is influence.
Movies.
What we see.
Oh wow, and we had this idea like it needs to be like this. It doesn't have to be that way.
What we see on TV influence what we want. It's proven. It's scientific proof that the more you see something, the more you want it.
Actually, we even though we spent money on the wedding, we got married in a court before the wedding.
Yeah,
so people get married in a court and they do
a reception.
Where everybody's invited and that's it. There's no walking and anything. Just like
we were not even going to have an actual ceremony. I wanted a court, do the court, and then have like a family get together. So that's one thing. You could get married in court, have the pastor pray for you, and at your home or what have you, and you can actually do a reception or a family get together. I knew someone that got married, and they just had dinner with the friends and family at a restaurant.
Right. And that's what she did after the beach. She went to a restaurant and ate. And that was it.
There's so many different ways. A girlfriend of mine had hers on a boat. And you think, oh, that's expensive, Maricia. No, they catered everything. She did an all-white wedding. And so where the decoration was everybody dressed in white. There was very minimal decorations. She had a wedding on a boat. They catered. They provided the food, and she also spent about the same amount of money we spent for our wedding. So it didn't go to 2 digits. It didn't go to $10,000 or $20,000 or $30,000. So there's so many creative ways to do a wedding. The biggest problem is how many people you actually invite.
Right.
And so now you have to be strategic and creative and how to get people that you want involved without offending them if you do care about offending people. So like I mentioned, have a little reception after the ceremony. Have a dinner with family and friends for the wedding. But the biggest thing is, how much are you willing to lose or go broke for planning a wedding and pleasing everybody? Because you're not going to be able to please everyone.
Right. Another place you can have a wedding is somebody's house.
Oh yeah, somebody's house.
If you know somebody who has a beautiful
outdoor or indoor
or a layout, just have it. You just got to be creative with it. And the thing is, the groom wants to truly please the bride but it has to be balanced. We have to understand what's the bigger picture here. We want to buy a house soon. We have bills. We got a mortgage.
You might get pregnant right afterwards, and not have to, might not be able to work. There's so many issues.
We're gonna move here, move there, so we have to consider all these things, because after the wedding, these things are going to come to reality, and you have to be able to handle it. And a lot of times marriages break up because they don't know how to handle finances. And the thing is, finances is key. But if you plan, if you set goals, if you focus on certain things, then you'll be able to make it happen.
Somebody asked if we really spent that much for the entertainment. So we actually spent everything. I'm talking about from my dress, his suit, everything. We actually, okay, what we did, I called. Don't forget the connections, though. I called the hotel. Yeah, if you have connections, use the connections. Right. I called the hotel. It was the Marriott. Right? It was called Marriott. I said, look, I'm on a budget and I'm not trying to spend a whole lot of money. How can you help me out? I actually said that. And they said, okay, instead of charging you for dinner, we'll charge you for lunch. So they had my wedding under lunch instead of dinner, so it cut down the cost. And I did it buffet style, so they still charge you per plate. And I didn't have to pay for the place, I just paid for the plate. And so, yeah, we knew somebody that was a DJ, and so we got the cost cut down. So everything, we're talking about everything. The only thing that's not included in the $5,000 to $6,000 that we had spent was the honeymoon. Now, we did have friends and we did have family pay for the cake. So if you have people that would chip in for your cake, my sisters paid for our wedding cake. So there's so many creative ways that you can do it. We just look at Hollywood, or we look at what everybody else is doing and want that. But I have to keep it balanced. Sometimes we have expensive taste for some of us, and we want the most beautiful thing, and that's what you want to do, then you do that. You're responsible for what goes on in your life. We're just sharing like how not to go broke, thinking out the box, being creative. Don't think about who's going to get upset. I think the biggest thing for women is trying to please their mother, especially their mother wants them to have this big wedding so they can live through they can live out through their daughter, seeing them get married. Especially if that's their first daughter or the mother never been married. I hope that makes sense. I'm starting to be hungry.
I would say write down the list of your top 5 things that's important to the bride.
Yes.
Now the groom is kind of like, okay, the groom is more concerned about the spending. The bride is more about, okay, this is what I want. But I would give you 5 of my things I think is key. I don't know if it this is just based on what we think. Photography is key in the wedding. You want to have your memories. The food is key. The dress is key.
And a dress can be $16,000.
Well, the dress is key, but just basically you could go, you can find a dress. You can be creative with a dress. I'm talking about the key things. Location is key, and maybe I don't know about the DJ would be key.
You want to have a good time.
The DJ. That's only 5 things I can think that.
And that right there, all that right there can be like $15,000.
Well, it can, but everything else is like how many people you invite, the decorations, and and just all these other things. You could kind of just put it to the side. But those 5 things: the memories, DJ, food, location, and of course, photography. Those are the key things. And I did say the dress. And that's what it's about.
Okay.
That's what it's about.
So we're going to wrap it up. How can you save money on a wedding? You can do it at a church event. You can drop down names out of your list, so decrease how many people you invite. Think about areas where everything's included and you don't have to spend so much. Think about even doing it at a boat, where you could be surprised how much money you might save on doing it that way. Doing a beach wedding as well. Doing a garden wedding and not having food, but having hors d'oeuvres. You can actually have maybe little finger foods and then have the dinner with family and friends later. You can do a reception in the church hall and having those people that cannot make it to the actual ceremony that is at a separate location. Do a reception at your church hall. So that way that people felt, and take a couple of pictures. Hopefully you leave time out so that while people are heading to the ceremony, to the actual location where you're going to do your reception, that you have time to take pictures with people at church. So there's so many ways that you can look up, Google ways to save money.
And I actually want to add on to that. I know everybody's doing it, but you can do a GoFundMe.
Oh no!
Yes,
I don't agree with that.
GoFund my wedding.
I know.
You can have friends all over the world, but I support to get married, because marriage is something that people value. And hey, just put it out there. GoFundMe, try to get married, try to spend X amount of dollars. But now you're not trying to spend $100,000 on the wedding. But if you say you try to, you need $3,000, I think people would be willing to donate to your cause, because I think that the prices of weddings are rising up to like $35,000
We want to wrap it up.
So GoFundMe.
That's not on my
shame
list.
In the game.
My list is, think about, instead of inviting everybody, drop down names from your list, take them out. Do something a little bit smaller with them, that people that you would love to invite but can't, if you can. Also, what you want to do is think about alternative venues that's not going to cost you a lot of money. Think about maybe doing finger foods rather than having a course meal. And also think about doing it at a house, like Ralph said. But I think, like I said, one of the biggest things that make weddings so expensive is the amount of people that you have to invite and how much food that you have to incorporate in that. So you take that chunk out, you might be able to cut the cost lower. So think about that. Think about what's important to you, the amount of money spent at a wedding or a marriage that lasts longer.
Well, there's another thing that we didn't include, that people still, we don't wear jewelry, but people still buy rings for the wedding, as far as for their brides. And a lot of guys feel like they have to spend $10,000, $5,000, and there's a lot of rings out there that's available. You can spend.
We're different.
500, 600, 800.
So we're different. Everybody buys rings, okay? So
no, we didn't have no ring.
We didn't have a ring.
See?
Every now and again, I'm gonna tell the truth though. Every now and again, just because I wanna wear a ring. So what I did, I went to, what is it called? Walmart, and bought me a ring. So just in case, like,
how much you pay for the ring?
I paid $8.
$8
So we're different though. We're weird.
She just want to feel like she have a ring on her hand.
So every now and again,
make
I'll
her
wear
feel
my $8 ring.
more, and she's married, because she don't have a ring, so she feel like she's single.
This is about saving money. So think about ways to save money. You are going to offend people regardless. The wedding is about the two of you, not about what family member want to invite this family member, and how your mother or your father want to take over the wedding and invite all their friends as if they're the ones getting married. So think about the cost, count the cost, and make sure that you have a savings before you spend so much money on a wedding. And
I actually heard somebody bought like a bubblegum ring for their bride, because they couldn't afford a real ring. But the bride was cool with that. Like, she didn't care. And she didn't care about
you gotta be realistic though. But everybody's not gonna follow that.
But what I'm saying is that it's possible. It comes down to the bride. It's not that serious. So what you rather? You rather get married, or you rather wait for your ring? Because sometimes
some people would wait for the ring. You know somebody that want to wait for their ring.
And sometimes they never get married because they wait for the ring. It never happens.
Okay. So basically saying that if you was that woman that's not about a ring, but you still want a ring, that there's affordable ways to go about that. You could go online or Amazon, you could buy real rings for $200-$300 and not have to spend $1,000. So it's just about saving money and not about looking like, trying to keep up with the Jones. Okay, are we done?
I got 10 more minutes.
No, we're about 23 minutes in here.
You could probably still record on that one.
Oh, God.
So we're going to end this video
with our YouTubers.
But before we do that, how can we get some more information about where we are, who we are, what we do, and stuff like that?
We're GodsPowerCouple.com, sharing how to have healthy, happy marriages, on how you handle money, your health, as well as your relationships, and as well as your faith. So you can reach us at GodsPowerCouple.com, and until next time.
Well, hold up. We're on social media, Facebook,
As
Twitter.
you can tell, I'm really hungry right now.
Instagram and all that. Check us out. Like our page. You know, we're going around speaking at churches, speaking at venues, speaking at organizations, and we're coming as God's power couple. She also speaks on health and woman empowerment. I personally speaks on faith and spiritual growth. So we both do our own thing, but together we speak on these topics. So check us out. We look forward to hearing from you.
Bye-bye.
Peace.